I actually got an aftermarket set, and these are splines. Thanks for watching D2 Wrench vs. DIY. If this looks like too many projects, you are wrong, because today's video we got a new one. So a couple weeks ago, went and took a little road trip to pick up this new project. Haven't had the time to really work it out because I've been completing other projects. If you look at my community tab, you could see one of them is a floating TV shelf that will be coming up next. So check that out if you ever want to vote on new things, but let's check out and see what we got here. And let's walk around and visit it now. This is a 2004 Suzuki Forenza, Korean made, of Daewoo origin, GM owned, with a Chevy heart. That is what this thing is. It has been sold as 9 different vehicles all over the world by 4 different brands. So, believe it or not, they're actually pretty hard to find. They were only sold in a few different kinds as the US model. In Canada, they got a different type. China got its own kind, and then in Europe, they had its own version as well. You can actually find it on Top Gear. Its twin is a Chevy Lacetti, which is a European version of this. Looks very similar, but a little newer. Holden also in Australia has their own brand. The twin to this would be the Holden Viva. So kind of a neat little economy car. Honestly, didn't get a lot of love for what they were. GM buys out Daewoo in the early 2000s, and they start producing all of the Daewoo bodies as all of the other branches. They even actually made a Buick version of these as well. So you can actually find them as all kinds of weird things. It's a little silly, a vehicle. I kind of find these weird things all the time to fix up, and I appreciate it. It's got a 5-speed, so it's going to get us really good gas mileage. The automatics are still pretty good. This is actually my second Suzuki Forenza, believe it or not. So, and the other one I had was also silver. That one was automatic though. You expect pretty close to the high 20s for MPGs on the automatic, low 30s for the 5-speed, and it's got a little bit more pickup and go. This is a second generation 4-cylinder Chevy engine we have in here. This is a D-Tech 2, they call it, 2.0 4-cylinder double overhead cam. Big problem in these are they're super sensitive. If you overheat the car, they're super sensitive to popping the head gasket. It's actually exactly why I knew what this was and bought it up instantly as fast as I could. Only 100,000 miles, so couldn't say no to that. It does have some Idaho rust on the side of the rocker panels, but it is what it is. It'll still save us tons of money on gas over the years, so I think we'll keep this around for a while, but let's get into it. Got a really big spacious footwell for the passenger. That's always a big bonus on these smaller economy vehicles. 5-speed, as I mentioned. Already got an upgraded CD player. That's a big bonus there. Got to fix our center console here. This little guy is broken, but off to a good start. Back doors have been open in a while, you could tell. Typical cloth interior. This is really no different than what you find in your Corollas and stuff. Had to darken it up there. We have tinted windows, so it's really dark in here. Your usual power windows, nothing fancy. A nice feature to have. These do fold down rather easily. It actually has a really big, spacious trunk. All right, so I did crank it just a little bit ago to get this in a quiet spot where I could film, but these misfire right away. It's a telltale sign that the head gasket's going bad on this. Come on, key. There we go. Oh, not bad. Still revs up. See, it's warmed up now though, but man, I'll put a clip in here of it starting up.
A few moments later.
You see our hood's a little rough here, but once it's warmed up, it runs pretty good. It does get the misfires though because of the head gasket, as I mentioned. I am wondering if this little bump on the bumper here might have cracked the radiator and it was replaced. who knows? We'll have to see. The radiator actually looks pretty original, you could tell here. But it does look like it's been leaking pretty badly out of the housing. Man, it's like bubbling and you really have to throttle it like it's carbureted. Quite a bit of a mess. Time to put it in the garage. Let's go. One thing I probably will do in the near future as well is put a new clutch in here. It's not bad or anything. It's just for 100,000 miles and coming out of a used car dealer. Whoop, ran over a brick there. Coming out of a used car dealership that sold it with a bad head gasket. Probably better just to make sure, you know. All right. All right, we got the Frenzy in our little garage here. Not too big of a job here to do the head gasket as much as people say it is. It's a pretty easy DIY job if you take your time. You can even actually get all data for 20 bucks a month as a DIY person. You can only get one car for the month, but that's really all you need for something like this. Has all your torque specs, the breakdown, etc. Something you do want to watch out on cars like this. I mentioned earlier I thought maybe the radiator was replaced or something like that. On the one I had before, both the coolant hoses had blown out. One was blown out and then that popped the head gasket and then it blew the other one out because it pressurized the actual coolant system when the gasket went bad. So it doesn't take but one time to pop the head gasket. Some cars are a little more lenient about that. This one is not, however. I'm guessing it's probably a lot to do with the original head gasket that's on there. Probably something more economical, and if you find the new Felpro kits, are actually much, much nicer. So I will be using another one of those as I used one before. You do want to make sure these are super reactive, these engines, to specific coolant. So even if you don't have a hose or a radiator or something that goes bad, it could just be your coolant is wrong and it's not cooling the engine, or it's actually causing leaks and chewing up gaskets somewhere in the engine. You don't even realize you're actually essentially have a bad radiator hose because it's pouring coolant somewhere else. As you can see in the upper thermostat I mentioned there, you can see it was crystallizing. That is definitely not the right type of coolant. This takes Zex Go5, so that's what we're going to be using. Good stuff. Actually, Xerox, I'm sorry. Good stuff, a little on the costly side, but it is right for this engine. It is their modern, whatever special magic compounds are in here. You know, I don't know the chemist. I'm not a chemist, I don't know the chemical breakdown to it, but I do know, I looked it up and that is exactly the stuff you need to use. Keeps it running nice and cool, worked totally excellent on the last one. So that's pretty much the mission here, get it all apart. You do want to make sure on a job like this, you take the head and you send it off to machine shop. I'm sure there's some warpage, even though people say, no, I didn't get that hot. There always is some warpage, just do it. It's like less than $100 just because if it leaks, you have to take it all apart again. Now your head gasket's bad, you need a whole new kit. So that's that. Hope you guys enjoy this. It'd be a fun little project, and the car market is a little volatile right now. We did pay $1,500 for it, and there was like 40 other people behind us if we didn't take it for that price. He posted it for $18, so I got a little bit of a discount. Helped me save some money on costs and stuff. Last time I did this job, the cost was around $500 out the door from Rock Auto. I use some Amazon parts sometimes too because I could get them faster for the same price. So I'll have links and all that to my descriptions. Please, if you want to take a moment to support the channel, you can find me on Patreon. And YouTube has memberships I just set up as well. So don't forget to check out the YouTube memberships if you want to do that. The Patreon if you want to support me. And also we have the community tab where I always like to try to interact with you guys and give you choices on what videos coming up next and all of that. So hope you guys enjoyed it though. This is going to be a fun little project. Get us a lot of good gas mileage and kind of like funky old cars like this. Good to bring them back. Thanks for watching. Bye.